Hey people, welcome back once again. And another tutorial for you today. This one is how to draw an old school wolf face, dagger, roses, and some flames. Now it's pretty cool. And a lot of you guys saw one of my wolf designs. I know you guys wanted it, so yeah, you guys got it. So yeah, enjoy. I'll talk you through the works as usual: line work, shading, colouring, yada yada yada. Enjoy. Right people, how to draw a wolf, some old school roses, and an old school dagger. And it's really cool with this one, and this it's not overly complicated to do, and it's just a lot of single components and just working out how to put them together. You know, you can break it down to a lot of small little pieces. This one. Right, to start with, just going to sketch in a rough bit. Now this is going to be a wolf facing forward, and you can do like a side profile ones in it, but I'm going to teach you the forward one today. And now. Just going to sketch out, right, let's work it out. I'm going to have, just put a circle bit for you on the head. So I want the main head to be there. I'm going to have a nice rose here. Another rose here. I'm not going to have it directly in the same place. Like this one's going to be a touch a little bit higher. It may be a touch bit smaller than this rose. I like how my rose is all different. I don't like having the same roses. And just mark out a little kind of square there for where you're going to put the dagger. Now it's extremely faint, but that's just getting the idea of how I sort of think about setting up a picture. And that, you know, so basically a big circle for I'm going to do the face, just a big circle where I'm going to do a rose. Now there's no detail here, this is just me thinking in my head, where's it looks good, because I can do it like this, and if I don't like that circle there, I can just rub it out, put it somewhere else, no problem. And that's so before you start drawing, now a lot of people ask me what my thought process is, and that's that, I just sketch out little shapes as to where I'm going to put something and just try and imagine how it's going to look. But yeah, that's like the basic theory behind how I'll do that. And that now, it's running out. Here we go. I'll go straight in the pen so you can see everything properly. And I'm going to start with the wolf's face, dead centre, and then we're going to go straight for the nose. Now the nose, if you're sketching this out, just do a little triangle shape. You know, roughly about, say, 2/3 of the way down from the top, so you got a third at the bottom, and a bit lower, so you got more headspace. Just basic triangle shape does it. And I just start from the bottom, just bring like a slight curve outwards, and that's kind of curving the line a bit. Bring in like a semicircle shape, just like that, and then hoop around. Just go for the inside, just hoop around. And when you get to the top, you got the line there from the triangle. Just follow that line, but bend it over a bit so it's kind of arched. Then just do the same thing the other side. Depending on how much the face is turned, you might want to angle it slightly. Now, but this one's fairly straight, so just like that, basic. And I always like to do a little line straight up the centre. Because this one's facing this way just a touch, I put the curve going like that. So the curve bends to the direction he's facing. And that. Now we got that. You got the nose, and you got a bit around the nose. You know, the muzzle. And that. So start with this, just like a little curved line just underneath. Curve up around the side, and come back around like a big oval. And that. Do the same thing on the other side. But the side your face he's facing, like, you know, if he's facing a little bit this way, you want this side to be a little bit bigger, a little bit wider than the other side. Not dramatically, just a little bit. And that. And then just break this line up. Just keep bringing that kind of oval shape, but break it up so you get like a little curve in there, curve there, curve there, curve there. So it breaks it into 3 little sections. That's real quick and simple to do. So let's go from here. Here we go. And I just put a little curve in here to join it up, rather than putting a dead straight line. You can put a straight line to the bottom bit if you want. I like just leaving a little curve bit like that. And then just bring in another curve. Just there. I put a little few detail bits in this to make it make sense later on. But to me that just adds a little bit more to the face. And that. Now the whiskers, and that, you know, you can do like just a flick if you want. But with the old school, they always tend to be kind of pointy. So to this, what you do, Just bring one out, curving like a line, and bring another one, just starting out a little wider, and working your way to the point, just like that. Do 3 of them each side. I had them slightly arching as they go up, only slightly. Now if you sketch this out beforehand, you know, if you don't want it coming from behind the muzzle, you can actually have it going over the muzzle bit. So if you sketched out originally, you could have this bit overlapping a bit here and not have this line in the centre. But it's just like an idea. Once you've done that, just add 3 little circles into each one of these sections. So 3 in that direction, 3 there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Simple. And that's your muzzle done. I know at the moment it's looking a bit like a rat, but trust me, this is generally how the wolf's faces go. It's not really until you start putting the outer side that they start changing the old school style. Now for the teeth, the front teeth, bring the big arch and that bending down. So if you follow where the muzzle goes, you know you can do it this way if you want. Just follow that round. So you've got a lot of bend. And now what that is, that's the gum. And now what you want 2 big teeth either side. Very long, very sharp. And then you want 4 to 6 circles following that arch to make the inner teeth. And then I'm going to start with them. Just going to do the 2 centre ones first. I like to have the 2 main ones kind of blunt. Then make like, you know, if you're doing like 4 across, and well, if you're doing 6 across, have that 2 blunt, and then have a little sharp one, then a big sharp one. So if you imagine when your normal teeth, it's like a 2 front teeth, then you get like, you know, semi canine, then you get your canine. I don't know if that's exactly how many teeth wolves have, but it's generally what I like to do. It just always looks good. You've got to remember, when you do an old school style, it's not what looks realistic, it's what looks good. It's a style. You know, it's not an exact science. You know, so that bit there's going to be gum, that's the teeth. Now, I'll just slowly move up towards the eyes. Now for the eyes, now the best way to work out where to put them, you imagine like the centre of the nose, following out along this line. Sketch up like this, to a point. That's where I'm going to put one eye. Sketch up across here. That's where I'm going to put the other eye. You're going to work out, just keep putting them around until you get roughly about the same level. And that. And at the moment it looks a little bit weird, but trust me, once you put a little bit of detail in, it makes sense. Now for the eye, if you imagine you've got that little circle, what you do is bring in the curve around the eye, coming up and flicking out to a point. Okay, and you do the same thing going around the other side of it. Curve around the eye, come down to that point. So you're kind of wrapping up that circle shape. Then the circle bit in the middle, just like that. And now what I like to do here, where the eye bit here comes to a point, this is where I kind of make the eyebrow. You know, you follow that curve, and then you want to mimic that shape around the eye, going around a bit. Now it doesn't have to be exact, like I like mine to kind of curve in a little bit and change shape up a little bit. But you just basically want it kind of following that shape around the eye. Just do the same thing for the other side, but just add the eye, obviously doing everything kind of reverse the other way. Do that, circle on the inside. Sketching outwards like that. Now you've got this centrepiece here. Now you've got choices here, you know, because basically if you're making like a growling like this one's like a fierce looking one, you want a lot of tension here in the face. And that, it's like if you imagine scrunching up your nose, you get all the lines. And that, so you can do this by simple, like, you know, putting like a curved line there, then a curved line off, and keep doing that up. And I quite like to bring a curve like downwards and working it up. I'm doing a couple of them as it goes up. So it looks almost like a fold in the skin between the eyes. Nah, it's generally what I like to do. Sketch a splitting pen. Right, so you can see just sort of sketched in the eye bits. And now when I do the eyebrow bits, I'm going to bring this line around here. But when I get to here, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to make that line. But I'm going to make it with little lines. Going around. And that same thing on the other side. Bring that around. And those little flaps. So you got the wolf's muzzle and the eyes in now. And this is where we start to shape the face. Now where you got the eye, where it bends out, you're going to bring a nice curve around the eye. So imagine where the eyebrow bit starts, imagine drawing a line around here and making a circle finish here. That's roughly the shape you want. Right, just bring it out. Bring it there. And I always like to do two, so I do one there, and just sketch a little circle just underneath, slightly smaller. Now, you'll see why in a bit. I know the man looks a bit weird, but trust me. Thrust, 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 thrust. There's a method to the madness. And that. Now I'm just going to sketch a line down here, you know, from the side bit here. Now what this is doing, this is going to make the mouth, the lower bit. So bring that across. Just bring a line across. Have it roughly similar kind of width to what the top is, the top jaw, and that. And then because he's facing this way a bit, this line curves inwards. As we see, this one curves outwards, and this again shows the direction the face is facing. And that. Now for these teeth, I'll do sketch in 4 circles, but oval shapes, sideways. 1, 2, 3, right. 1 too many there. And that, 4 or 6. And then for the side teeth, you know, a lot of people make the mistake of just bringing this straight up. Nah, you want to get a slightly more realistic angle to this. Now to do this, you want to bring this line outwards, quite wide like that. Bring it in, come in much higher than the other teeth. And just got to remember, this tooth comes down a lot more. And then bend it inwards as you get there. And that. You'll see it much more clearly when I go over it in the pen. You can do the same with on this side, but don't make the bend outwards as dramatic. Bring that line back a touch. Too big there. And that. So when you do the teeth, I'll start with the bottom ones first. You're going to make them oval, but make the bottoms slightly more straight. See? Now gives you the 4 teeth, and that gives the illusion of them curling outwards. And then you get the side one. Remember we had that line going up? Going further up than the teeth, and then bend them back in. Same on that side, see? And now you see that teeth's got a much more realistic angle. Now to finish this up, just put a lip around the bottom. Just bring a line just around the outside like that. I'm going to do a chin underneath that, but at the moment I'm going to work on the inside of the mouth for you. And that, now I'm going to again, just do another circle shape here. One there. One there. One there. Just following those 2 lines that I initially sketched out. And I'm going to draw in those lines. And I'm going to put one guy slightly wider. Just like that. You see on that side? So you've got 2 lines there going up here. Then this side. This one's slightly different. I'm going to bring this line up. That's where I left it. Bring this line up slightly. But when I get here, I'm going to bring up a curve. Come in here. And a few little detail lines just going up and down. And this kind of looks like a stretch to the gum almost. And that just makes it look like the mouth is really stretching open. And then you've got your tongue. basically just fill the mouth with a tongue shape. You've got plenty of ways of doing this, but at this angle, I don't like to go too dramatic with it. You know, less is a lot more in this case. So just bringing the sort of shape of the tongue, like just follow the line round, just slightly off the teeth, and then a wiggly line going down and finishing before it gets to the end. Always leave that little gap. Remember that, always leave that little gap. If you don't, it looks like the tongue split in two. Looks silly. Right. And I'm going to sketch in a bit of a chin there. See? Similar to that bit, just bringing that down a bit. You can make this hair if you want, but I generally like to keep it quite smooth at this point. And that. And now I'm going to bring this up here. And now if I weren't putting these roses in, what I would do is I'd bring this up, curve it out, right? So, you know, about halfway through this mouth, curve it, and start doing like V shapes, going around all the way up here. It's a bit a cheek shape, and then I'll do another set underneath for the neck. Because I'm going to do a rose here, it's going to cover up a little section of this. And that's so what I'll do is I'll do the rose now, so we can work around it. I can find me a rubber. Like that bit. Now remember, we've done that big circle there. Now when you get to this point, you might want to slightly adjust it. Now see I'm doing the face? I've done the face slightly bigger than I originally intended. You know, you can't always get the exact size you want straight off. And that sometimes you just got to go with whatever the drawing's taking you. And now for this, I'm going to do my rose similar, but just a bit outwards to where it was originally. Originally it came in a touch bit further. And that now for this, just going to bring in a curve, going up, and turn around. I'll go straight into pen for this. I've done so many roses I can just show you in pen, it's easier for you to see. Up, curve. And that's like a hook shape. Another one. Just going around the top. And that, now this is kind of like an overturn. I'm going to do a bunch of these. The same technique. And that this one is going to curve around the other way this time. And now don't curve it all the way in, because we've got to do a little bit of detail in a bit. I'll start with, I always like to make like a heart shape almost. See? And on the inside, just bring in curve shape, curve shape, curve shape. Then just join those lines up. That's the inside of a rose. And they've got loads of ways of doing roses. I've got other tutorials. You know, there's endless, countless ways. You know, there's never one right way to do a rose. You know, this is just a way of doing it. And I'm just going to, again, just bring in a similar curve on the outside. I like to make my curves here quite steep, you know. And once I've done that, bring a line on the inside, curving like that. And that just tells the direction that this inner bit is going. Again, going outwards this way. Curve like that. Curve there. The exact same shape, just repeated. Just that a bit wider, a bit bigger this time. And now once you get here, I like to make this a little bit different. Like, you know, I like to bring one out here. So we're just going to start here. Bring a curve. A bend. Make a teardrop at the end. And then start where you was at the beginning. Bring that out. A bit wider. And join your line up. There. So you get that nice little curve shape here. Bring a little curve off of this. Show that shape. Another one there. And then from here, you know, it's really up to you. For here, I'm going to make a bottom bit. So I'm going to bring in a curve here. Just flick it down and like that. Just bring in a curve. Just here. And remember, when you're doing these bits, you want them to get wider on each layer. So the other bit fits inside it. It would not make sense if this line was over here and this line was here. It'd just look weird. And that. Now I've got this line down the bottom. Now because I've got this line down the bottom, this is going to make like a higher up petal. So I bring like this. Bring around, I'll explain what I just done there. So remember we've done that curved line there. I brought a line around here curving. Then just follow that line back, just going a bit wider to make that. And done the same thing mirrored on the other side. Just following around. You see, that's to create like one petal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 5 petals around the outside. And I'll show you how I do these. Just bring a line that. Sort of a bit of a sharper turn to a point. Bring up, bit of a sharper turn. And come back. And again, just do that little loop shape just there, just bring it up a little bit. And repeat this 5 ways around it. You can change up the shape slightly, it doesn't have to be the exact same every time. I'll show you. See how this one went up and then curved back around, and that's how it varies up. And then I'm going to have this one curving like this. I'm going to come to a little bit of a point here, show you another little technique you can do. Little loop, loop up, come back down. So you just make a little bump in it. And then when we do a bit of detail work in there, you'll see why I've done that. Just put that there. Now, there's a tip where you don't have to do it, but I like to do it sometimes when I do this. So I've done a loop on both sides because it's like equal position. That's really just a personal preference. You ain't got to add that in if you don't want to. Now around the outside you're going to get these little leaf bits. Simple. Bring a straight line out. Teardrop on the end. Make a circle around it, touching the bottom of that teardrop. Just like that. And then you're going to put lines across here and lines across there. But we can do that with a thinner pen because I'm going to teach you a little bit about line weight. Having different thicknesses of your pens in your pictures, it makes a massive, massive difference. And that it's a bit hard to teach because it really has to just look and just work out in your head where you feel it will look best. And that's not an exact science, but I'll do my best to teach you guys. So, just like a little extra you can do to bring a little spike around the petals. Around the leaves. It's just a little extra. You don't have to do that. Just another little thing you can do if you want to. And that. Now I probably will put one down here, but I know you can't quite see it properly on the camera at this section, I don't think. So I'll put this one in a bit afterwards so you can see. And that. Now, see like I said, see this rose here? It's kind of going in front of this, this wolf. So if you imagine this bit would have gone here, like I said, curving around here, all the hair, up until we got to about here. Same on this side. Again, another rose here. I'll do the same technique in a minute, but I'll just speed through that one. It'll be the exact same sort of similar idea as this, just slightly varied up. So I'll do that now actually, so it's everything done with. Cool. So you can see I've got 2 rough roses sketched in either side. And then just gonna work in that chin. Just like that to there. And that. Now what I'm going to do, around the eyes. Now we've done these 2 semicircles. Now what you want to do here is do a line with a slightly thick pen and quite wide apart, going inwards from that circle shape. See? So you've got that circle shape there and that circle one we've done underneath. Now we're not overlapping, so you stop the circle once you get to that line. Then what you want to do, if I can find me a pen, just want a slightly thinner pen. And if you're using the same pen, you can just go over a little bit to make each one a bit thicker. You don't necessarily have to have a thinner pen. But on the inside, just do 3 or 4 thinner lines, 5, depending on how many it takes to fill that little gap. Try and keep them about the same space apart. This is just a small idea of what I said about line weight. Just having a thick and thin line just makes such a big variation. It just makes it pop out in a picture. And I don't know if you can tell on this, but when you sit up close, when you draw it yourself, you'll see just how cool it looks. And do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And that's two like cheap bits done. Now, at the moment, it's still probably you're still trying to work out, what the hell's that supposed to be. But once you put the hair bits around the outside, now you'll understand. Now the hair are literally just like big V shapes. Just keep flicking them in and flicking them out. Now you want them to base it on this side. You want them to curve around so it comes up just a bit above the eye. On this side, you want it to curve up here. Come out very wide. Start curving in a little bit towards the eyeball here. So you get that shape there. As you go and pen, you'll see this much more clearly. So yeah, I'm just bringing in these kind of big V shapes. And each time I start one, I start off that line, so it looks like the hair bit goes underneath. Now the moment I'm putting a bit of a curl to it, upwards, as I get here, I'm changing the curl. See how here the line was going this way, and now I changed it going the other way. And that. See, just coming in towards there. Now do the same thing on this side. You don't have to always all the same length as well. You can have like some bit shorter, so one big random kind of long one, shorter, longer. You can just play around with the length and shape of the hair bits. So now you can see the sort of the wolf kind of face kind of starting to take a bit of shape now. Now bring this down a touch so you can see as we go towards the head. And now, because this one's going to have like a dagger in it, so I'm just going to sketch in this little kind of long curve shape just here in the forehead. This is where the dagger is going to go into the head. Okay. And that. Now these hairs here are going to go slightly up a little bit. And now if you get to this point, what you want to do, start from, this this way the hair stops here. A nice kind of curve shape. Going round to where the other one goes. And I know it looks a bit weird, it looks like you kind of shaved the wolf's head bald. But this just gives you an idea of where the top of the head is going to be, where the maximum height of the head will be. And that. And now from here, on this side, you want to create the ear. Now I'll bring this down a bit so you can see. I'll go straight in the pen so you can see this very clearly. Very simple, this one. Now on this side it's going to be slightly different to the other side, only slightly, and that. So you bring a little bit of line there. This is where the head shape is going to be. Bring this curve up, going like that. Now you can have this more straight, more bent out. It depends on the expression you're going for, and that. Bring the line down curved, so it's curving in, and then bring in 1, 2, 3, say about 4. Kind of curves like that, and the last one kind of flicking out a little bit. And then from here, just bring in some more of your little hair flicks to bring that head shape up a bit. Just like that. And then on the inside of the ear, similar to what we've done here with these lines, these fur lines. Bring in some curved lines, thicker ones, and hit with some thinner ones on the inside. And that'll create like the hair on the inside. Once you add the shading and stuff to that, it makes a lot more sense. But the other ear is almost identical, just the other way around. And I'm not going to put it in just yet because I want to get this shape of the dagger in now. And that now, you probably want to put the dagger in before you do the ear so you got enough space to work it. And that, but I'm just making this up as I go along, literally. Now I've got that little curve here, and this is where the knife is kind of going into the heads. Really typical old school. And that, if you want to just let's be a bit further up, can't really go much further down. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this up a touch. Looking at it now, I think, yeah, maybe a bit higher. Never be afraid to change. If you see something you feel like needs to be changed, just do it. Now, once you've got that curve, just bring in a line going slightly outwards, only slightly. I don't see no dramatic curves. Slightly smaller line in the middle. And that. Now, if you're having a curved blade, you could have it slightly curved, but this one I'm going to do fairly straight, I think. And now join those two lines up. Now remember it comes up slightly at an angle here. And you're going to create almost like a diamond shape here. Bring this line up like this. And the other line kind of parallel on the other side. And that. Now around here, you can change this anyhow you want. I'm just going to show you a really basic cool way of doing a hilt for the dagger. A ball shape. Curve this around into another ball shape. And join that back around. Now daggers vary up all the time between like different shapes and that. I'm going to make this one actually slightly kind of curved. I'm looking at it and thinking, yeah, curved will actually be better for this. So basically what you do is just bend your lines a touch. Not dramatically, just a little bit. And when you get to the bottom it makes sense when it comes out the bottom. And that. And now because I've got it curving this way a bit, it kind of creates like an S. I want it to curve this way, but then I want it to curve backwards. I don't want it to go all the same way. Like if it comes here and goes over here, it's like banana. Banana's not good for a dagger. No banana in wee daggers. And that. Now bringing that line, that square, around that centre line you got, that shape. And that. Now I'm going to bring this one down a touch so I can add my diamond to the top. I like doing this. You get like, like a basic kind of shape off the top. So you flatten it out, do another line underneath identical. So you have like a little base. And then do old school diamond. And that, they're quite simple, just bring a line up either side. Two lines, have them evenly spaced out. So you basically have 4 lines slightly curving. And then bring in a triangle to the first line, triangle to the second, triangle to the third. Line over the top. Diamond done. Simple as that. Bringing a line up in the centre here, slightly off centre line, a little bit more to one side than the other, and that just for this sort of style. And I'm going to bring in curves all the way up this one side, just like that. Then this side I'm just going to go cross hatch, and that joining up there. Have another little bit off the bottom. This is just copying that same shape as what the hilt was. Just a little curve up and follow that round. Just sets it like a second base bit. Now as I go to pen, you're going to see all this more clearly as I'm going towards it with a red pen. So you got that line curving like that. Line's curving slightly because it's like a curved blade. And now around here, it's going to bring in the spiral. So you get to that centre bit. Do the same thing the other side. Make sure you spiral in the right way. Bring in some of those curves. Quite sharp curves as well. You basically want it sort of going in and pointing in towards the centre bit of the dagger. Then just bring in this cross hatch. This cross hatch will look a lot better once you put the shading in. But to me, the inside of a dagger is all about just making cool looking patterns. Okay? Make some cool looking patterns, and that's really all you need for a good looking inside of a dagger. And now we got that. See, this is why I left the other ear, because you see the ear's going behind it now. If I joined that in before, would have covered it up. So just do the other ear, same as the other one, just don't go over your dagger. Just get that to your bottom, and now you need to put the bottom of the dagger, as if the dagger's coming through the head. Now in your mind just work with how that curve's going to go. And putting that curved bottom bit of the dagger. Now you really got to just try it in your head, just imagine how it goes. Like you see here, kind of curves, and imagine curving like this, and then coming out like that. Once you've done that, you can add in little extra bits if you want. You know, like around here, you could add in, say, line there, and do that same kind of third thing. You know, the flicks. You don't want to add too much though. You know, less is more. You know, most of your detail to come really with the colouring. But now we're here, I'm going to teach you a little bit about what I said before about the line weight. Just bring that in there and there. So you see how we've done most of the face all in the same liner, and this, and the roses. So it's all very one-dimensional. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around key areas and thicken them up. See, like around the teeth? So to make these teeth stand a bit more, just going to go around the edge a bit with my pen. You can use a thicker pen, or you can just use the same pen and just go around it a bit wider. And now you see how instantly those teeth are standing out a lot more than anything else in the picture. Now you want to do that, but you want to bring out certain key features. And now when I say certain key features, the main ones that you want to really keep in mind, around the edge, like so I'm going to do all around this rose and widen it up just a touch. And a little bit just around the nose, around the eyes, this line here maybe, a bit in the ear. See that here, I'm going to make this thicker. Just like that. Just around this one. So I'm basically just going to go around the edge of everything and little key features in the face. And this is where, as I said, where it's hard to teach, because the key features in the face, you just have to use your imagination and just try to think, you know, what you want to stand out more. You know, the main things I say keep in mind, and that's depth. Like you see this dagger is in front of this head. So by doing this outline, we'll make this appear further out forward. But you just want to go around out the edge of it, or just sticking up certain lines. If you make the entire dagger like, you know, line sticker, it just looks kind of weird in that place. You've got to be very selective. See like that, you see that dagger's standing up a lot more now? Now the top dagger I don't really need to do so much, so what I'm just doing is just sticking it up this line. And then just flicking it out as you get towards the edge. See? I'm going to do the same thing. Now the key place I'm going to do, sort of just under here. Make this frown a bit more intense. The eyes are already thickened up a bit. And I'm going to do a few little shadow areas as well. And now you don't have to do this, you can smooth shade this out, but a lot of time when I'm like this, I like to pinpoint exactly where I want all my pitch black to be. And now enough of this. So this nose bit, I'll kind of around here. Bring a little line around there, I'm just going to leave white. A little bit there, but the rest I'm going to colour in black. So selecting out, like drawing out the highlight bits and filling in the rest. You see that, about half that nose bit black, and then that in a bit here will be black. Now you can sketch that in pencil if you want first, like see here, like trying to work out where this where the shade in the mouth. Now I know the teeth come out there, so the shadow is going to fall roughly on this tongue. I'm not going to make it a dead perfect line because the teeth ain't always perfect and the tongue's not always a dead perfect straight surface. So I sketch in a rough bit where I want the shadow to go. And making it more curved than that sometimes just makes it more fun. Makes it look better. So just like that. I like to make the lips black as well, so I'm going to leave just a little white highlight through the centre of the lip. Just like that, and then it's just working out other little key areas. See, it's that little shadow just underneath the lip there. You might get a little bit of shadow on the face. Just there. Shadow the whiskers. Now you've got to remember the shadows don't always follow the exact shape. Remember as it hits down here, like this whisker, shadow's going to go a lot lower. Same with this one, and it won't be straight. Just like that. Just there. Now you've got quite a bit in the eye bit. Now the eye, I'm going to do a little white highlight just in the centre bit of that eye, that pupil. I'm going to bring a line here, curve in onto the pupil, and I'm just going to colour in that black. Just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. And black. here, you've got to kind of work out where your light's going to go. Now, on one side of this, you're going to have the shadow of the dagger. I'm going to put it on this side. So I'm going to have it going there. Coming back. A little bit on the bottom of the ear. Maybe a touch bit on the top. And like I said before, you got to remember this is old school style. Or new school, depending on how you interpret it. But it's not always about realism. So these shadows don't always have to go exactly where they're supposed to. Put them where they look good. And some other little bits around here. Just a little shadow of the rose. So yeah, as you can see, I added some line weight there. So you can see how big a difference it makes and just how much more key areas stand out now. Now you see from the top, you see how much like the ears stand out. The dagger, you know, you get a sense of 3D-ness, but not too much. And that around the outside just makes the face pop when it's a little bit thicker. Around the mouth, how much the mouth pops out now because you've got a bit of shade in there. And a bit of understanding of how it actually exists in that area. You know, shadows really bring a sense of that 3D-ness to everything. You know, just makes things seem in the right place, you know, rather than just being like a flat basic outline. And now quickly, I'm just going to quickly touch on before I put in the colour and stuff. Where'd I put my thin liner? That's 5, there we go. Remember I've done those little lumps on the roses, the little points? And that what you undo, just bring these lines inwards. You know, now, as you'll see, because this line will be so much thinner than your outline, it creates such a nice little detail that's just separate. You know, you have like your basic line weight, your thick line weight, and then like a detail line weight. You know, I always like to try and use roughly around 3 or more different kind of line widths. To me, that just takes your work to the next level sometimes. You know, if you're doing really typical old school, then you might want to stick to the same line weight for the whole thing because that style tends to has a lot of that. But this is where the slight difference between old school and new school kind of steps in with these little extras. But I think it makes the world of difference. Like I see, I'm just putting these random lines just crossing across these petals, and you can just see how much nice little detail it makes, and just how much more interesting they are with this few little lines. Now if these lines were as thick as the actual line work, it wouldn't look right. You'd be looking at it thinking, where does this petal end? You know, what's that? Is that the end of the petal, or is that a separate petal? Because this line width is thinner, you don't guess that. You look at it and just think, oh, that's a cool little detail inside the petal, rather than trying to work out where in the petal it is. So now we've got the line, or the thinner line on the roses. It's going to put a little bit of detail throughout the face and just certain little key areas, just like I've done, you know, on the roses. For example, I'm sort of going to do one here on the teeth, just like little thin line just going up there. Thin line, one little kind of just wavy, just kind of joining it. You know, just play around with different kind of lines in that, because there's no one right way about doing this. Just like trying to add expressions and stuff, and just little detail lines. Don't want to get too detailed, you know, like I said like before, you know, less is often more. But just a little bit here and there where you think it might look good. So I'm just bringing out certain little key areas. So there's a little bit just around the eyes, just a little extra detail just underneath there. A little bits just on these frowny marks. Now a lot of time you can use it to tell a shape, like here, because the idea is I want these bulging out, so just making them curved makes it seem like the actual bit is curved outwards, rather than being inwards or just being a straight line. It really helps just define what you're doing. But now we got that. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I'm going to put some flames in the back, I reckon. And so the flames are quite simple. You just line up. It's going quite straight and curved. So the line come off of that. There's nothing fancy with these ones. These ones are just classic, old school. Very simple, but they just look awesome. I'm using a black outline on these, but realistically, if you wanted, you could do set the outline in whatever colour you was going to colour them in. Like say if you was going to do the flames solid red, it might look cool to have the outline in red as well. So like when you see it afterwards, it is there's no outline, because it'd be red on the inside and red on the outside. So yeah, I think that just finishes that bit off, I think. That was just simple, just straight little curved bits. Nothing overly fancy. Just one little final rub out on certain bits. You probably want to get a nice soft rubber for doing this, because if you get a rubber that's too hard, a lot of time you can rub away certain bits of the ink, so your lines look really faint. Which is sometimes handy for certain effects. But generally you just don't want that. So it's time to move on to colour. Right, I'm going to quickly show you, because I'm going to try to switch up the colours, because I've done another wolf one quite similar to this before. So if I can show you this one, I'll get this in here. It's got this one. This one's like a sort of grey and blue wolf, with all the blood and everything. It's one of my designs you can buy. This is an example of one of the kind of colour schemes you can do. I'm going to do slightly different. I'm going to, maybe throw a bit of brown and stuff in the face, and try and mix it up a little bit. But that's like one colour scheme. And I'm going to show you a different one now. Starting with, going to get myself a brown and a light brown. Start off from a darker one, just fill in a few little areas, I think. And that. So I'm going to say start around here. Now the key I'm going to do for this one, and that's whenever I get to the bottom side of something, that's where I'm going to put the darker shade. Like see here, this is like a round kind of curved out shape. So the bottom bit is kind of bit where it tucks under. So that's where the shadow is. It all depends on where you want your light coming from. I mean, it's old school, so there's not too much emphasis on the actual direction of the light and that, but generally in this one the light's coming like from above, so that's why you get a highlight on the bottom. I mean, a highlight on the top. If I had said light coming from down here, this shading would be around the other way. Using my lighter brown to start with, to go around this bit with. So light brown. No, it's not light brown. Right, bear me one sec. Where the hell did it go? This is the problem when you get too many colours. You lose them. Right, this is going to be a good base colour anyway, so I'll start off with this. Now there's certain key areas, like, I don't keep using that word, but certain areas I'm going to colour in, certain areas are going to be different colours. Like, see the circles here and around the eyes. I'm going to have this, probably like whites and blacks, and have the bit around it brown, and have maybe a little different tint coming off of this bit around here. And that's so, by starting off with a light brown, I can sort of get enough idea of where I want to put everything, and then come in with the darker colours afterwards. If you know exactly where you put in your dark shades, you can go in straight with the dark shades. But until you're confident with where you're placing all your colours, I probably would recommend you sticking with your darker areas to begin with, your lighter areas to begin with. So it's quite simple. I'm just putting a base coat just around this bit first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work like a very, very faint kind of blue. Yeah, into the tips. Just here on the outside. Now you probably might be asking me, like, why is he adding blue? Why the hell not? In my mind, I've got a picture in my head of what it's going to look like, and I think it's going to look pretty good blue there. And never be afraid to try different colours, you know. Sometimes the most wacky colour combinations can really work. But unfortunately, there's only one way to find out, and that is to try. So never be afraid to try different colours. Now if you're using these kind of pens, they're quite easy to sort of usually blend into similar colours, but something say like a blue to brown can sometimes be a bit difficult to blend. So it does come in handy to have a blender. I don't often use these, you know, as most colours blend easy, but blue to brown is usually a bit of a toughie. And a blender, you don't want to use too much because it's very watery and it will make your colours bleed quite easy. So just a quick little over the tip, just over the bits where the colour joins, and that, and don't do too much, and just leave it to blend in. You know, don't work into it too much because it will carry on getting wet as it goes into it. So if you keep working too much, you're going to end up ruining it. So you see I'm just flicking in a slightly darker brown in certain areas, and then just going back over that with the colour you had before, just work that into the other colour, and that will help it smooth out really nicely. Now, then what I'm going to do, an example of how you do like the brown bit, but what I'm going to do now, because where you got this dagger going in the face, you're going to have a bit of blood trickling down, and I want this blood to really pop out really bright. Now if I put down all the brown first and then go over the reds, the red ain't going to be as clear. So I'm going to put the red on first, and I'm not going to touch it when I go over the brown. I'm going to colour in the gaps, and by doing that this will really be bright. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off adding it around the dagger. Now you've got to be too precise at this point, you know, just toss it around that bit for now, because you know that bit's going to be covered in bloods. Now when you're trying to work out how, like say, blood trickles and that, it's really up to you. I mean, you can do like really basic kind of sort of teardroppy ones, lines all over the place, but in my opinion you want to work with gravity. Dagger's up here, so you want the blood to trickle down the face, so don't start here and then work up over this way, because it won't make sense. So try to get your blood trickle to go with the face. So I'm literally just going to make this up as I go along. You literally just trial and error, just doing lines that I think look good. You know, having them thick, going into thin, branching off, stringing off. Try to work a little bit of the face shape every now and again. Like see here, when I hit this bit, in my head this eye bit bumps out a bit, so I make this curl around. And that same bit here. You know, try to work it with that face shape. And I think that's enough, like, you know, directly on the top of the head. You don't want to go too crazy with the blood unless you're looking for a, you know, gore fest for picture. But just do a little bit on each tooth. Sometimes throwing a little like dot here and there looks good. You know, you ain't always got to just do like bold bits. You can do bits that don't connect, little splats. Like around here, you could have, say, a little dot there, dot there, dot there. You know, it kind of adds to it. Now the key place I like around wherever the dagger wound is, around the teeth, just on the edges. And, well, my tongue's going to be red, so, well, to start with anyway. I might go a bit of blue to make it a bit more of a purpley tint. But I'll decide on that afterwards. So I'm just going to colour in that bold for now. And that maybe a little trickle down the chin if you want. Around the chin? Around the chin. Sorry people, it is pretty late, I'm tired here. See a little bit there. And then of course, bottom of the dagger and a little bit on the top I'm going to go to afterwards. See, that's the bottom of the dagger. And then go to the top. So you can see that's a bit like the blood involved. And I'm going to colour in some little key areas and that, like around the eyes. Now what I find does look pretty good, and that's if you get, say, an orange or a brown, or something slightly darker than a yellow. If you ain't got enough colour, you can always use like a grey. But I'm going to stick with... start with an orange and see how it comes out if it's dark enough. But where you got the eye, that little white around the pupil, do like quite a bold area, but don't touch the outside lines. Just around it, you know, in between the gaps. Just like that. Then colour around the rest of it in yellow. Like that. And then in that little gap just on the outside, you can either use reds or purple or flesh tone or something like that. Just to mix it up, I'm going to use purple. Just there. And that'll make the eyes pop very nicely. And now for the nose you've got a bunch of choices, but I'm going to do this bit in purple just to make it different. So whatever colours I use in the face, I like to use every now and again throughout the face. I don't like to use too many colours, but I like to use the colours all over. And that makes the whole picture seem like one thing and bring it all together. So what I'm going to do, if I can find it, I've got to organise these better. That's what I want to do. So some are purple. Just going to colour in that bit. Copy. I'm going to leave a white highlight at the top. I'm going to colour in a bit there. And then using the blue, I'm going to blend that out. Now this is just me experimenting and playing with colours. And that there's no guarantee it will work. But you never know. You might end up getting the best looking nose you've ever seen. And that. Now done that, it's going to go through that little white highlight, the blue. Just like that. So you see you get like a bit of a kind of two-tone effect around the nose. Nice and jubbly. Right. It is that bloody baby blue. Just like 5 minutes ago. It's gone. But yeah, so now I'm going to go on to the muzzle bit. Now this one, usually like a greyish kind of blue. Maybe like a grey tint with a blue. I mean, you can use like grey here if you want. I like to use a bit of blue. I'm literally just flicking from the outside in, so you get like a gradation going towards the inner part. As you can see, I'm literally just getting the pen and just flicking it whenever I want to go into pure white. Now, a lot of people sort of find it hard, like using these pens, like trying to go into white. You know, they're easy to go from colour to colour, but go to white can sometimes be a bit tricky. Just get the lightest version you can, like go down to the lightest like variation of that colour, and then just flick it out. Purple there for the gum. Purple there for the inner gum. I like to use more of a pinky kind of flesh tone when I'm doing this inner cheek bit here, with the inner mouth bit stretching out a bit. See this little bit here with dark brown. Just keep slowly adding up, you know, bit after bit, working out what looks good and what goes well where. And if you can, just try to look at a picture and try and imagine in your head what it's going to look like. You know, you see something, just try and imagine what it look like with that dark blue, you know, with that dark purple, with that red tint, you know. And once you get an idea of how it looks, you can sort of decide, you can learn to kind of judge what colours to use. I mean, no doubt you're going to have mishaps, you're going to use colours which are going to end up disastrous, but you're never going to get better until you start experimenting with the colours. So don't be afraid to experiment. I see I'm just working around this red, not on it. By avoiding it, or just touching those little corners, you can get like a little, you know, dark shadow here and there. But by not going over it solidly, it makes it stand out a lot more. That's like the basic brown I'm going to use in the face. Mind you, put a bit down here to blend out. And once you've got that, I'm going to start working a bit with the darker brown I was using. There we go. Certain kilo areas. Like here, I've done these little lines. Can have a darker shade of brown coming down off of these. Just a little bit around the bottom of the ears, around the head. There it is. Just got that blender again, so I'm going to blend that out. Now that I'm going to switch up and bring in my dark grey. I'm going to use this to shading those little areas on the inside. I'm going to flick it in and I'm going to change it up as it goes inwards. Now I've done that. Grab me lighter grey. Actually, I could do into this. I'm going to use it into that grey blue we used. Sometimes you just go over it a few times. Don't go over it too much, otherwise it will bleed out dramatically. But sometimes you want just a little bit of bleed, does really help get the colour blending going. But the second you start to see any kind of sign of it, stop and come back to it afterwards. Don't carry on going, because you'll bleed out your line work and everything. can see now, just go a second dry, now just go over the second layer, so much that blends it out. You know, sometimes it just needs that second to breathe. I'm going to throw in a bit more dark grey, I think. And here I'm just going to flick in some detail just by flicking this grey off of these lines just a little wider and into the face. Don't need too many of these if you're doing this sort of style. Just a flick here and there can do the difference. Now I've got that, I'm going to bring in a different brown. Just slowly flick a bit of colour into those little lines we've done. And what I am going to do, looking at it now you're always going to spot little things, you're just going to see something and think, yeah, I see something that's going to look really cool. Now what I have seen is this little section here I'm just going to make black. There you go. And then just working it grey on the edge of that. Just flick it out. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Going that blue, I'm going to wear that down from the top of the ears. I'm going to get a bit of that dark grey again. I'm going to wet a bit of grey into that muzzle, I think. The colouring really is just like a process of just looking and working where colours are going to look good at. You know, and as you build it up, you sort of see something thinking like, yeah, that needs to be a bit darker, or that needs a bit of this colour. Always be aware of just taking that second to just step back and look at it. And that's shimming it full of Wolf's face for now. You know, I'm going to come back and put in some white highlights with some white ink. But for now, we'll call that it on the face, I think. Just put a little bit of grey on that dagger. And a little bit of dark grey from that corner. Sometimes it's cool, especially on metals, to shade up and just leave a little line at the edge sometimes. Like you'll see here, I'm just leaving this like just a little faint white line just around that edge, just there. And blend out the other grey. Same here, just blend down from that around that blood. Just leave that little white highlight on the edge. Now I'm gonna I'll do the roses. The roses are quite basic. I'm just gonna colour all the petals in. Just leave a little white line going through them. Show you, so just put this a little bit. See here, just follow the curve. See, like this one goes on the outside, so just curve that round with it. Sometimes it's nice to leave another white highlight in. Generally on this petal here, you see the one I use at the base? I'll show you what you do. Leave that initial white highlight going through the middle of the petal. Like that. Then across this little edge bit, just leave another little one, white one. And connect up at the corners. So you see that little white highlight just there? You can do it on the same with the inside bits here. You can leave that little white line just on the inside. See there and there if you want. It's not essential. It's not essential. Sometimes it looks better without it. You know, most of the time I generally tend to not leave a white bit on the outline, but I'll just show you how this can look. Start off with that, which will be darker red. Cool. What I want to do, just set on these like inside bits, these little hollows. Gonna hit with a darker red, almost a brown. This one's kind of like a fire brick kind of colour. And then what I'm going to do, get me a slightly lighter colour, like a sort of pinkish kind of flesh tone. And where we left all those little highlights going through to here, I'm just going to put a line going across. You can do this both sides or one side of it. For this one I'm just going to do the one side. And then I grab me a black. Now, I've been a bit messy with this, you know, because I know I'm going to colour in these bits black. But if you want, you can colour these bits in like orange, yellow, purple, dark red, any colour you want. For me, I'm going to colour them in black. Just going to get the kind of feel that I'm looking for with this picture. So, yeah, so I've done that outside bit in black. And then come back with your dark red and just put any of these little sort of bits that are on the inside or on the bits like where it'll be shadowed. Make these dark red. And now the other one you do the exact same way, but for now I'll teach you how to do the leaves. And then I like to get two greens, one light, one dark. And that colour in one side, light green. The other side, dark green. Colour in the little winey bits on the side, wherever you want to colour them in. Same as the top bits. And get your fine liner. Just draw lines across. And touching up with the exact same lines, going the other way. This is always good practice because these lines always help teach you to keep your lines parallel. You know, I mean, you're never going to keep your lines perfectly parallel, but it helps you get closer and better at it. So yeah, now I've done that, it's going to do that on the other leaf. I'm not going to colour any other rows like this as well. Right, so as you can see, that's the roses done. And that, so yeah, now I'm just going to colour in top of the dagger, the flames, and just do a few little extra bits to sort of show you some little tricks you can do, little detail bits. And that, for these flames, I'm going to do like a blend going from like red from the top, orange in the middle, yellow at the bottom. So to start with, just going to bung in the red at the top. I think I want the majority of this to be orange, so I'm going to sort of do the tops, the tips, red. There we go. Yellow. Grab an orange. Not too sure about that marker. I'll see, I'll give them more try, I'll buy some other ones. Flex marker and the trade marker is still my favourites. Forever trying new ones, but none of them ever seems to quite take my liking like Flex and Trade does. Brow marker is good, but that's only really for solid areas. And as you can see, my orange is running out, sadly. I don't actually think I have another one of these. I've got another orange over there, I'll use that. Okay, but it cannot touch this one. And switch up. And fade into yellow. Damn it, I've stopped using my pens. Yeah, that'll do. I'm trying to be pretty quick with this sort of shading and that, but if you struggle, yeah, like you see that key, you see it comes out a bit sort of scratchy. I mean, I will blend this out, in time, but if you want an easier way to sort of get like a nice transition, instead of sort of flicking it down sometimes, come across quite flat, you see, like that, and then get your orange and really work it into that area. See, a lot of time that helps to get like a better transition sometimes. It's much easier, you know, like the other one requires a lot of flicking sometimes. It's good trying to get certain effects, like, you know, I like a lot of time my strokes to show up. I don't always like them to be completely faded. Yeah, just really work over it. And that, if you're using like a really thin basic paper, sometimes you can't go over too much. And I really recommend getting like a good sketchbook or using something like Bristol board or something like that. And that Bristol board is what the comic guys all use. That's what I'm using at the moment. It's just basic Bristol board. It's not overly expensive. It's quite cheap. And that doesn't bleed too much, and it smooths out really quite nicely. And that, I generally prefer sketchbooks because they're a bit more grip. And they tend to soak it up a little bit more. I like to play with it a little bit. But this kind of keeps it on top, so it's kind of easier to work and gives a nicer finish. But I don't know, I've always been a bit of a sketchbook kind of guy. So you can see that's just like a nice little transition between red, orange to yellow. Ooh, grab me a blink. Just quickly colour in the ear bits. Don't let it come off. Come on, yep. Do the inside ear colours whichever you want. I always like to do the inner skin parts, like always pink. It's just a force of habit, it's just what I've always done. And now with this, when I colour in this bit, I'm going to pretend there's like a line going through the centre. And I'm going to colour in like the bottom part like an orange and use like yellow on the top. And that's so... kind of got to play it by eye. Just imagine there's an invisible line through the middle. And each time on the lower part of it is where you want to put the orange. And this will just help you get like a really kind of nice, almost like shine look to it. Now there's other ways to do this. This one's just a quite easy way. And it always looks good, you know. We've got more complicated ways, but a lot of time the more complicated ones just don't look right, you know. Even when you do them right, you know, sometimes they don't look as good. Just because something's easy to do doesn't mean it's going to be bad. You know. It just really comes down to whatever you prefer. I like the way this looks, so this is what I do. And then just go the rest bit in yellow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some white ink and I'm going to put some highlights in. If you don't have white ink, you know, you can always just leave a little white gap in that centre bit, so wherever you want all white highlights. But I recommend getting some white ink, you know. Again, it's not expensive and it's just really nice and helpful to use. You know, you ain't got to worry about your highlights till afterwards. You can just slab on a bit of white wherever you want. You know, comes in handy. Just going to put some yellow up here. And some orange underneath. You can play about it as well. If you think it's like not dark enough, you can always add a bit of brown, like I'll show you here. And that, you know, I want the centre line bit on the bottom half just to be a bit brown. Just add a bit of shade to it, so it's a bit more visible. You know, never be afraid to go darker. You know, if you feel something's too faint, don't just leave it. The darker colours are your friend. They help. They create depth, they create a sense of 3Dness. Never neglect them. Take something in. Just flick that in there. Right. Now this bit, in my head, I'm sort of thinking like a leather kind of handle, so I'm going to do like a brown. Now, try to think sometimes of what it would look like in your head if it was real. And try just translate those colours into the old school ones. You know, just take it and then refine that colour down to what its basic colour is. Like I said, in my head I was picturing like a sort of, you know, brown leather sort of, you know, tint, so I just got like a nice light brown. Get up the centre bit, I'd imagine like a royal blue. Then I'd imagine, say, yeah, where's my purple? I'm thinking maybe like purple on the inside. I'll have black. I'll flick out some black first. Here, you know I've got the pattern? What I'm going to do is I'm going to flick black from this corner in each one of these. And work some purple into it. And again, I'll add the white highlights afterwards. When you see me do the white highlights, if you ain't got white ink, just leave those areas blank. And that will create the white highlight. And then, let's carry that main colour, that red through. Just there. Try this. Again, once you see me add the white highlights, if you ain't got the ink, just leave the parts blank. You can get like a white gel pen as well, they're always cool. I've got a couple of them. But yeah, so you can see that's that. Got me white ink. Now this comes in very handy because these little highlights are going to bring out so much, especially in the bloods. You know, just a little dot of white can make a world of difference. And as you'll see, you know, you might have to go onto the wide screen to see it close up, but when you get in close, seriously does make such a difference. Like see here, a little blood dot. Just going to put a little white dot just on the corner bit, just there. You see, it just instantly gives it like a little 3D kind of feel. You can put a little 2 dots in on some of them, just a little kind of line coming off of it. Only really want to do this on the outside. If it was an uneven surface, you might get some going through the middle on that, but this isn't an uneven surface, so just putting this side, just like on the right side mainly. A few little bits on the left side here and there just to change it up. A few little lines with a dot next to it. There's nothing overly fancy about it, but it just makes it look so much nicer. Just a little few bits you see just underneath this line. See how that blood instantly looks so much better? Just that little tiny detail made that world of difference. Just in a few little pieces over here. Just going to bring a little line, a little dot there, a little curve on this side, and that's just a few little flicks throughout here. You've got more complicated ways of doing this, I'm just flicking this in quite basic. You can just see how it gives a little bit more 3D kind of feel to it. I'm just going to run a white line just on this side. Just little white bits, just all here and there. If you're using a white ink and it doesn't come out like solid white, just let it dry and just give it a second layer sometimes. It just brings it out. So you see just those little flicks in the little triangles. Top part, bottom part, top part, bottom part. Just following that pattern. Just instantly gives like a 3D kind of feel, like a shine. Just a little bit there. Nice little shiny diamond at the top. And then kind of down to the face, just a little bits, just again, just here and there, just little things I think, you know, might look pretty good. And like just a little extra white light in the eye. Just there. Just a little bit, sometimes just to sort of kind of show the shape of the face, the direction it's going, like here, just on this eyebrow bit. Just going to run it. Just there. Why? Just for the hell of it. Doesn't always have to make sense, it's just where you think it'll look good. And sometimes you can always do little extra bits, like see, like if you see like here and you think this may be a little bit blank, just do the reverse. Remember we've done the lines. Just do them, but you do the white. So do a thick bit, thin, thin, thick, thin, thin, thick, thin, thin, thick. You know, and just slowly fade it back into the design. You know, just if you do that on this design, you might want to try and keep it slightly parallel, so do it on the other side as well. Just like that. Just a little bit here and there, just a few little lines. The tongue, very important here. I'm just going to bring a nice little line, just dot, 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 bold line, little dot next to it. You don't have to do too much, you know, if you go too crazy with the white, sometimes it looks a bit cheap. Sometimes just a little line and dot is more than enough to give it that little sense of 3D-ness. Just a little line here and there. Again, just a little bit on these teeth, just on that blood. just going to put a little bit in the rose as well, just on the overturned bits, you know, the petals, just on that, you know, the inside bit. Just like that. Just there. I'm going to do on every one of them. Just a couple. Left-handed, just start this side first, so you don't smudge your work. Just like that. Right, what I'm going to do now, just put this down here. Ooh. Gonna grab me, grab me red for now. Just gonna throw a little bit extra bits. This is one of the ones I always love doing, just putting some dots around it, like where you got the flames. We'll do this big dot, little dot, little dot, 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 just around it. Especially bits when you've got like fire, because it looks like little bits coming off the fire and that. And I throw a few little black ones in there as well, it's a little bit like ashes. Over here, over there, and over there. Yep, down there. Right, black. Not too many, don't overkill it. So just a couple black ones. Just like that. And voila. And I mean, realistically, you know, I'll join this up sort of straight from my head onto the paper, you know. If I was doing this, like, you know, like my own sort of design, I'd probably rearrange like the roses maybe a bit wider so the mouth showed through. But obviously, because I'm teaching you guys, I have to just do what comes first. And that, but yeah, play around with it, you know, like I said, like, you know, sketching out bits and bobs. What I'll do is I'll quickly show you from a little bit higher. And I'll put a picture on afterwards, so if you hang around till the end, you'll see the full design. Just take off this bit, take off this bit, and take off this bit. There we go. Right, so we can see the whole design, shall we? There we go. See, that is the bad boy we just created. You'll love it. And that, so yeah, that is how to draw a wolf, roses, dagger, and flames. Hope you enjoyed it. And that, check my other videos out. Any other ones you guys want to see, just let me know. And yeah, I am the Broken Puppet. Hope you like this, and I will see you next time. Peace out.